Welcome back. We're into the black. Today we are going to be talking about WordPress. Oh my gosh, WordPress. I love you so much, WordPress. I am a WordPress stan. I don't care what anybody says. And I just want to say shout out to everybody who has continued to watch. I super appreciate it. And if I don't post on social media about Into the Black, just know that there will always be an Into the Black every Sunday at 8 p.m. EST on YouTube and Spotify. It may come out like a little later than 8 o'clock, like depending. I am a busy lady. But yeah, I just wanted to say shout out to everybody who's been continuing to watch. And last week we had my sister on the podcast. That was a hilarious conversation. It is really, funny to like interview your sister, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was a great episode. So thank you so much, Melissa, for coming back on. Hopefully I get to see you next summer. Hopefully you come back to tour again because I must hang out with my nephew. Shout out to you, Aiden. Shout out to you, Matt. So yeah, they were out. She was on the podcast last week. It was a great episode about, she is a musician and singer-songwriter and owner of a recording studio called Mockingbird Studios. So we were just really talking about like our family journey and like her journey in music, and just it was such a cool conversation. But this week we are here with myself and we are going to be talking about WordPress and my journey into WordPress. And also I kind of want to give everybody some tips in regards to WordPress and how to get started. Because a lot of people always seem to complain about the fact that WordPress websites tend to go down due to the lack of maintenance, theme plugins, like, you know, all of the things, the themes, the plugins, making sure that you pay for your domain and your hosting every month or every year, depending on what your plan is. But you know, there are ways to make sure that your WordPress website does not go down. But a little bit about me. My name is Heather Cox of heathercoxcodes, and the codes comes into the WordPress. I've been doing this forever, like 15 years in January. I can't believe it's going to be 15 years in January. I was thinking about throwing myself a little party. So it's going to be 15 years in January, and I'm turning 40 next year as well. So let me just tell you, like, I feel like I'm leveling up in life. And I think I'm a believer in numerology. We can totally have a conversation about numerology on a totally different episode of Into the Black. But, you know, I believe I'm like within my power square. And if people do not understand what the power square is, it is, the part of your life where you are in the most powerful of your life. There's the youth square, the power square, and then the wisdom square. And so currently, and it's based off of Pythagorean's theorem and the right triangle. So, but we can dive into that later. But I'm just 15 years of doing WordPress and how I got started. And actually next week's episode is going to be Bob Warburton, which is actually a great segue. Bob Warburton was one of my first WordPress clients. He had met me. He had put an ad out on Craigslist. And we will definitely get into the story next week on Into the Black. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But it is just WordPress I've always been a WordPress stan. And when I started 15 years ago, it was not as well known, but now it truly is. And the capabilities around WordPress now I feel like are a lot like leaps and bounds from where we started. So how I got started was I created a website for my client back then, Bob Warburton. He owns the company USA House Solutions. But then he also had this blog about like real estate and sports. So I had created that for him as well. And so I basically just taught myself how to short code and HTML code and CSS code. And I thought that, you know, it was a really great way to teach myself something, because at that point, I did not really know what I wanted to do with my life. I had mentioned in an earlier episode of Into the Black about my education journey. And at that point, I was a certified nursing assistant. I graduated from Delaware County Community College with my certification as a certified nursing assistant, and I worked at a Quaker nursing home, Quaker nonprofit nursing home in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. Shout out. Shout out to my bestie, Shakina, who I've been friends with for, oh God knows, like 20 years now, I think. We met at that job, right? So she's been like my longtime best friend. So from that job. You know, I that's what I did, but then I got hurt on the job. And so it kind of like thrust me into like, well, shit, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I don't know what I'm going to do for a career. And so, you know, I was kind of like leapfrogging from place to place, trying to figure out what I'm going to do and what I really was passionate about, because I really was passionate about being a certified nursing assistant. But that wears and tears on your body so much. So it's like, okay, like I need to obviously find something to do. And I was really good at being an assistant and helping people and organizing, because I'm like so OCD. Like everything needs to be like square. Perfect. So, you know, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to just try to figure out what I'm going to do. And then I found that ad on Craigslist for Bob Warburton. And so I started creating a website for him and started doing other things in regards to his real estate investment firm. But you know, other than that, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach myself CSS and HTML. And, you know, I had already had those foundations of that. Because of MySpace, if everybody remembers MySpace, shout out Tom. I think I've talked about this on a previous episode. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I started creating and learning how to do HTML coding because on MySpace, you got to edit your profile and add like music and change the background and stuff. So that was like the basis for a lot of us out there, a lot of us web designers and WordPress website designers. That is like where we learned how to code and do HTML coding, was over on MySpace. So thanks for that, Tom. So, you know, I started to hone those skills when I was working with Bob Warburton. And then, you know, I was like, okay, well, maybe I could take on other clients. And then HC Web Designs was born, right? That was, I mean, come on, like that. And it's so funny because I look back now and I look at people who are starting out and they kind of do the same thing where they just take their initials or their first name and they're like, Mary Ellen Designs, ME Designs. And it's like, okay. So like, yeah, like HC Web Designs was like how I started with WordPress. And it was, I mean, it was hard in the beginning. There was a lot of people still using like Drupal and, what was that other one? Intuit. Oh my God, Intuit. Oh my gosh, I remember having an Intuit client. That was like one of my first, like they already had the website and they already were kind of like invested in it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to like teach myself how to do this Intuit website. So like that was another client of mine. So, you know, but WordPress was really like, okay, like we own this. And then I started to learn how to add plugins and I started to learn like what's the best theme to use. So like, what is the best like plugins for security, for search engine optimization, for widgets, for images, for short coding, for all the things. And I learned, you know, in regards to Bing Webmaster Tools and Google Webmaster Tools. And like there's just all these different things that are incorporated with WordPress website design. I even learned how to do like FTP database file systems. I know that's great because like back in the day, right? So like if you had a WordPress website and your website went down, there was no way of accessing the WordPress unless you like signed in to the SSL or excuse me, like the database on the back end. I don't even know what it's called anymore, but it's like, okay, like that was the only way. You had to go into the file system and like remove the plugin file from the file tree, the database file tree, to get your WordPress website to be back up again because maybe a plugin or a theme crashed your site. So there's just I mean, like I grew up in these WordPress streets, like, and you know, it was funny. So I was in a phone call one day with GoDaddy and I had no idea I'm not sure what was happening to this client's website, but I was there. I was talking to them. I think we were trying to That's what it was. So we were trying to move like permissions and ownership of a domain and website over to another GoDaddy account, but we needed to have like verification and have this like API key put on the back end of the website to show that we were like actually the owners and the other people weren't, so that we can gain access. And it was just like this whole thing, but like, you know, of course, like we're on wait with like the other tech support. So he's just helping me and da-da-da. And I'm telling him about like, oh yeah, like I've been doing this for like X amount of years and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, like, if there's a problem with the plugin, I just go into the back end FTP and I just, you know, go to the file tree and just like, you know, put a little period before it, just break the plugin so I can like go and like get the website back up. And he's like, dude, like, he's like, you should be being paid the big bucks. What are you doing? I'm just like, I'm just making websites for my lady friends. Like, and that was another reason why I wanted, and so after like teaching myself, right, how to like do all these things, and I worked with like a few clients, I started getting people like asking me to help them because their websites were like down. They couldn't access it. They ghosted. Also, like people would like hold hostage other people's websites and would be like, okay, well, if you want to like move your domain or if you want to access your website, you need to pay like $1,000 for us to give you like permissions. And I just think that's like a really sleazy tactic in regards to website management and WordPress website design and any type of website design. Like, my clients always own their shit. And that's why like I really pride myself in like the transparency and the trustworthiness. Like, I'm never going to make you be like, okay, well, website's done and I'm going to keep hosting it. But if you don't want me to host it anymore, you got to pay X amount of dollars to like get it back. Like, that's holding your website for ransom. And I think that's bonkers down. Don't do that, please. But you know, so with WordPress, and I'm going to help everybody steer you in the right direction as to how really to manage a WordPress. And I don't care what you say. I'm a GoDaddy.com stan. I will and always will be. 15 years doing this. I have always used GoDaddy.com. But they have the managed WordPress. The managed WordPress is what is going to save your life. Because all these other, you know, HostGator and hosting.com and, you know, all these like other, you know, hosting provider websites, they don't offer managed WordPress hosting. And what managed WordPress hosting is that GoDaddy will manage your website, but then if it like there's a plugin update, that they manage all of the updates. They manage all the plugin updates. They manage the theme updates. Sometimes there's some that like don't work because it like, I don't know, it just decides not to. And they're like, okay, but you can still go in and do that yourself. It's just like one plugin. But most of the time, all of them work. I have not had to update plugins or do maintenance or theme maintenance on my website for years. Because why? Because I pay for that. I pay $8.99. I think it's 30% off right now. Don't quote me. If you are listening to this on the replay, let me tell you, like their prices change all the time. But if you go to GoDaddy.com and you look up WordPress hosting, I mean, it's only like $8.99 a month, but you have like guaranteed peace of mind that your website is not going to go down. And I mean, granted, if it does go down, they're just a phone call away. I used to have their website, like their phone number memorized. Let me think if I could think about it. 1508. See, I can't remember it anymore. I used to have it memorized because I'm like, okay, I got to get on the phone again and like talk to GoDaddy about my website or, you know, oh, hey, like, you know, something happened with like a domain or this transfer didn't happen. But I don't think I've ever really had any issues with managed WordPress. I've had issues with like the WordPress that they used to have, but now they manage it for you. So like, why go anywhere else? So GoDaddy.com, go to the hosting, click hosting, go down to WordPress hosting, managed basic WordPress. And I'm going to be actually starting another website for, a new client of mine, which I'm really excited about. And she's also a friend. So everybody look out for that one. But yeah, so WordPress, if you really want to get started for your business with WordPress and you really don't want to like outsource it to anybody, you know, go to GoDaddy.com, grab that hosting. It comes with a free domain. Then you're going to set up your WordPress. You're going to add a password, they'll do that. And then you just keep clicking next and then it will set it up for you. And then once it's done, you click edit your site and it's going to be like, yay, go in. Then you're looking at your dashboard. Okay. And so when you're looking at your dashboard, you're going to see all these tabs on the left, and then you're going to see this like empty box where it's like, here is like, hey, welcome to whatever and welcome to WordPress. And like, here's like, you can drag and drop like widgets on your dashboard to edit your dashboard. But what's really important is the left-hand side tabs, right? You'll have your dashboard. You'll have your Jetpack dashboard. You'll have your plugins. You'll have your themes. You'll have your, customize, you'll have your appearance, you'll have your settings. But what really requires WordPress to work are 3 different things. Number 1, the software itself, WordPress.org, WordPress managed, hosted on GoDaddy. That's the software, right? And then in order for you to create the website, you need a theme, quote unquote. And what that theme is how the layout is, the colors, the vibes, right? That theme is going to give you exactly what you're looking for. Go and type it in. You can go to the themes and you can search all these different themes. And if you don't have WordPress right now, you can actually go to wordpress.org and actually look up different themes and different plugins. So, because it's open source. It's all available to you. People make plugins and themes all the time. So, your theme is what your website looks like, but then the plugins are what gives your website that functionality. So you want the theme for your appearance and how the layout is and all that stuff. And then you have your plugins that are what gives it the functionality. So there's a Yoast plugin. Shout out to Yoast. They just commented on my threads the other day with like a heart hand. And I was like, oh my God, like fangirling, like just a little bit. So Yoast is for your search engine optimization. If you have a website, and it doesn't matter if it's Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, if you have a website, you need to make sure that you are properly search engine optimized. Because what's the point of having a website if you cannot be found? So Yoast plugin, right? And let me tell you, like my websites, the way that I make sure that my websites are fast is that I do minimal plugins and minimal theme and minimal backend, because there's a thing called bounce rate. And the bounce rate is basically, if you have a high bounce rate, that means people are leaving your website at a high rate because it's either loading too slow, the elements on your website are loading too slow, your domain is not working, your pages are like, literally like however slow your website is you're going to have a higher bounce rate. So if you go over to my website, heathercoxcodes.com, you'll see that like within like an instant, my website loads, because I have minimal on the back end. I have a really sleek, pared down website that still has a lot of functionality, but I'm able to do these things with like hardly any plugins. So the Yoast plugin, great for search engine optimization. Short Codes Ultimate. So the reason why I love Short Codes Ultimate is because you can add any really type of functionality to your website through the use of short coding. And what is short coding? Short coding are like the codes that have brackets and dashes. So like instead of the parentheses, it's a bracket. So let's say like a short code would be, I don't know, like a social media short code. So it would be bracket social dash media dash short code close bracket. And what that short code does is that it pulls like data and information and coding from the back end of that plugin. And instead of loading all of that like code and PHP code and whatever code that makes that plugin run, it stays in the plugin. And it doesn't really like, you don't need to like copy and paste large pieces of coding. The short coding is what gets that functionality. So let's say instead of me coding a hard code of a button, short codes can actually give me a button specifically. And so I could just go and just say, bracket short code dash button or whatever the short code may be that it populates for me, with all of the different elements that I wanted. So if I wanted the button to be flat, if I wanted the button to be 3D, if I wanted the button to forward to another thing, if I wanted the button to move when I hover over it, if I want the button to be centered, like these all are different like attributions to the shortcode that could be added within that shortcode. So shortcodes ultimate and Yoast. So Yoast for SEO, shortcodes ultimate for short coding and kind of keeping everything clean. I really don't like using Jetpack. I'm sorry. Don't come for me. It's so bulky. Oh my God. It is so bulky. It's like, it just weighs everything down. And like, I really don't like it. Security. There's WP Security Fence. I think it's called WP Word Fence. And then there's also the WP Security. And those two, make sure you have the security on your website because it's going to help you against hackers and, brute attacks on your password and all of that stuff. So make sure you have security on your WordPress. So now we're going to come to the theme, and I am a gatekeeping bitch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a gatekeeper when it comes to themes. And I do want to tell everybody this though. When I create WordPress websites, I am not a fan of Gutenberg. Okay? I am not a fan of the drag and drop child capabilities. And if you don't know what like a child theme and parent theme is, so when you choose a theme, and the reason why I'm gatekeeping my theme, and I will reveal my theme, don't you freaking worry, but there is a parent theme and a child theme. And let's say you have that parent theme. That parent theme is all of like the core data information. But then there's a child theme where it's underneath the parent theme. And the child theme is basically like any edits that you want to do to that theme so that it doesn't jack up the parent theme. So let's say like I wanted to add a functionality to like the back end and hard code it into my theme. That's when I would use the child theme. I'm not a fan. It is so much work and duplicated work, and it bogs down your website. It slows down your website to have to like load, just don't even get me started. So I don't use Gutenberg and I don't use parent and child themes. And I know people are going to come for me probably. And I kind of don't care because I've been doing this for 15 years and I've never had any issues with any of my websites ever in regard, because I don't F with the themes. Why? Why F with a theme, bros, guys, ladies, and gentlemen? Why? Don't F with the freaking code of your theme. It's gonna break. It's gonna break. And I know you're gonna be like, well, that's why there's a child theme, because then when there's a plugin update to the theme, it's not gonna overwrite your child theme. I don't care. Like, I think that is so stupid. Like, ugh. Like, I just want to like squeeze this microphone because I really do think it is like the dumbest thing. So what do? When Gutenberg came out, Gutenberg is so heavy and so clunky, and just the drag and drop capabilities, and just, it's not great. It's really not. And so I'm a classic WordPress girly. And if you want to use WordPress in the manner of which it was created and not this bullshit Gutenberg crap, then the two plugins that you need are the Classic Editor plugin and the Classic Widget plugin. And you can come for me all day long, but go to those plugins and see how many people have downloaded those plugins. I will freaking wait. It's over 1 million people. Hardly plugins don't get that many views. Maybe the WP security, maybe the WordFriends, sure. Maybe Yoast, because Yoast has been around for a hot freaking minute. But like everybody, there are classic editor stands out there, and I am one of them. And if you want to go back to and get rid of freaking Gutenberg, you can use the two plugins, Classic Editor and Classic Widgets. Download them both and you'll be able to use the old school text to visual WordPress. Okay. Like, I don't care what y'all say. So I use the WP Classic Editor and then I use the Classic Widget, right? And then I have my plugins. I have Yoast. I have Shortcode Ultimate. I have my security plugin. Now to the theme. Okay. And this theme, I believe, will only work with the classic editor. Okay. I'm a classic editor girly. And let me tell you, if you have a hard time like editing your websites, like this theme is going to help you out. And dude, like I have a crush on this person. I don't know who they are. I have been using this theme and they've come out with like multiple iterations of this theme. Like the dude's not getting paid, I don't think. Like his website is made from the theme. Like, I don't know who you are, but please come find me, message me, DM me, something, bro or lady, whoever you are. I did find you on Twitter/X. I found you on X. And like, I did message you on X, I think. I was like, who are you? I love you so much. Thank you so much for this theme, because this theme, I really do think it is the most customizable theme available on WordPress, because you are not boxed into all this bullshit like colors, and you can't change the color of your menu, and you can't change the layout of your page. Okay. It's called Weaver, Weaver, Weaver Extreme, I believe. I've been with Weaver my whole entire career of a WordPress website designer. Now, I'm not a WordPress developer, okay? Let's differentiate those two. Developers, they're coding, PHP, all of like the hard coding in the background. That is not me. I am all about speed of implementation. And that is why we use the Manage WordPress on GoDaddy. We add these plugins. We add the classic editor and classic widget. And then we use Weaver Extreme for the theme. Come on. So I tell you this to not gatekeep, because let me tell you, I have been gatekeeping this theme for like 15 freaking years. And you know what? Merry fucking Christmas. And I've been through every iteration of this theme. Weaver, the original, Weaver 1, Weaver 2, Weaver, I think there was like a 2 point something in there. And then there was Weaver Extreme. And now I think it's just Weaver Extreme. And I do think they come out with more plugins. So once you download the Weaver Extreme theme, though, you got to also make sure that you download the Weaver extension plugin, which also gives you all of those customizable capabilities. And when I tell you customizable, I mean customizable. A shit ton of tabs, from your sidebars to the width of your website, to the height of your website, to the footer, to the custom CSS. You can do from menus to pages to content to layout to width to padding to literally every single freaking thing that you can think of, Weaver has covered. So if you are somebody who is looking to get into WordPress and becoming a WordPress designer, I point you to those things. Classic editor, classic widget, Weaver Extreme theme, and plugins like Yoast and WP Security. And I have been doing this for 15 years, and this has been the best way that has helped me streamline the WordPress website design process. I can spin up a website in a day. And let me be real. Maybe I can spin up the framework of a website in a day. I cannot finish a website in a full day. You need graphics, you need copy, you need your keywords, you need your SEO, you need your social media buttons, you need all of the pages. So, there's so many things that go into making a WordPress website that people overlook. So currently right now I'm helping my friend create a website for her new company. And, she got everything she needed on GoDaddy, and I gave her homework. I was like, look, I need a bio about you. I need a list of your services. I need your address of your place. I need your hashtag that you want to use. And I need a headshot, right? I need all of this information so I can craft the strategy around the website, because a website is just a website unless you have strategy. Sorry. You can put up a website all day long, and if you don't have strategy behind that website, then you just look like you have no idea what you're doing. Sorry. Like when I create websites, there is a reason I do things. I'm not just here being like, okay, well, here's your website and boom, I'm just going to put this up there and here you go. No, like there's a reason why it takes so long for me to make a website. I'm strategic. I am very, very, very strategic. And especially because my websites lean towards search engine optimization. There is not, like, I'm not going to sit here and make you a website with just visuals. Not happening. Because then you're going to turn around and you're going to say, oh, well, my website isn't ranking. Well, there's no text on your website. You can have your images alt texted and optimized all day long and your SEO, Yoast plugin on the back end and your page is optimized. But if there's no actual text for these web crawlers to find, then guess what? Nobody's going to look at your website. And nobody's going to even care. And people want to know who you are. You need copy on your website. I don't care what people say. And it needs to be SEO centered. It must be. Because then nobody's going to find you. Nobody's going to find you. And then you're going to bitch and complain that what's the point of having a website because nobody's finding me. Well, because you did not optimize correctly. You did not put in the work. And you did not put in the strategy. So, I mean, again, I could talk all day long about, the F-ups that people make when it comes to WordPress. But if you are looking to get into WordPress, right, there's so many different options for you that you could just start today. I'm telling you. And if you are looking for a WordPress website for your business, please reach out to me. Like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. I have a portfolio. Even my website, I created my own website. Like, why would I not? It's heathercoxcodes.com. I mean, like I said, I love doing WordPress. And I just feel as though that people really need to use WordPress more. And I know, like, I probably sound like, oh, well, there's so many other website builders out there. That's nice. But it's not going to give you that flexibility that you need because every business is different and every website is different when it comes to their business. There is not all just a one size fits all solution for your website for your business. There's really not, because everybody's business is unique and different. Everybody's everybody's vibe is different. Everybody's business, everybody's, you must have a website that matches who you are, what you do, who you serve, and make sure that it doesn't look like everybody else's. That's why I really don't like Wix and Squarespace and what was that other one that people Show It, right? Because you were all just kind of boxed into the same theme, the same look, the same feel. And I understand for ease of use. And, I will say if you do have a POS system, a point of sale system that you use in your business and they offer a website, please use that. But also integrate, you can use that, but if you already have a website outside of that, integrate that into your website as well. So perfect case in point, I created a website for the Sausage King of Delaware. Shout out to you, Billy. I saw you during the summer. I am, my kids do swim team and Billy was there on the grill. So people during the summer got to eat hot dogs and brats made by Billy Rostrom, the Sausage King of Delaware. So everybody's lucky as hell. But I made him a website and he had a POS system, right? So the POS system during COVID, we created a shopping page, an online store where people can come in and purchase sausage or purchase, what mac and cheese or potato salad or whatever. But they can they can order directly onto the it was Squarespace. Yeah, because that connected with their POS system. And so we created that store, but then we put that link on their main website, which is the sausagekingofdelaware.com. And that was to their online shop. So again, There are so many things that you can do. And I mean, shit, he probably didn't even need that because we could have just found a plugin for a Squarespace, POS system and put it right on the website. We probably didn't even need it's that other website, to be honest with you, because the capabilities have changed so much. So, I mean, even right now, there's AI integration right now into WordPress. Things have changed so much with WordPress and it's going to continue. So, just think about how, you can get started in WordPress. Go over to GoDaddy.com, go to the hosting, grab yourself a WordPress managed hosting and just play around. This could be a new career for you, but also you can save money on a website if you want to start with your business. But the thing is, if you're a business owner and you don't want to make a website, please contact me. I've been doing this for 15 years in the hospitality, restaurant, food, real estate, pageantry, healthcare, influencers, models, podcasts, books. I mean, you name it. I've done websites for almost anything under the sun. I mean, beauty, lifestyle, I could go on. But I do believe that WordPress is, and the reason why WordPress is so popular is because it is open source. Everybody can learn how to do it themselves. Everybody can learn about WordPress. You can go to wordpress.org and start learning about it today without you even signing up for anything. It really is, truly is the best way for you to move forward with your website. And plus, then you also own that. So coming back to when I started, people were having their websites hold hostage. And so that happens a lot with Wix and Squarespace. The people aren't holding it hostage, quote unquote, itself. But the thing is, it's like the SEO is so bad that people start to use Wix or Squarespace and then they realize that they've just wasted all this money for a domain and all this, money on having it over at Wix and then spending all the money on all of the premium things. It's like you could have just spent X amount of dollars on a web designer, paid, $9 a month for your WordPress. And, then you would have just owned it right out for the rest of your life. I mean, I've had my website forever. And granted, it's gone through many iterations and I've changed my domain, but that database has always been the same. But yeah, I just love talking WordPress. And like I said, I've been doing it for so long. So I just think it's such a great conversation. And if anybody has any questions about WordPress, and how to really get started, but also I will tell you again, GoDaddy.com is where you should purchase. And I kind of don't give a shit about what anybody else says because WordPress, the managed WordPress, that's what everybody's issue is with WordPress is the fact that the plugins and the themes break your website. Well, if you have a managed WordPress, it's not going to happen, or it's going to happen a lot less than if, you had it with HostGator or hosting.com. So just putting that out there. But I've talked your ear off enough about WordPress. So thank you guys so much for being into the black here on WordPress. And next week will be Bob Warburton from USA House Solutions on the podcast. So check that out. And I appreciate everybody being here and I will see you next time.